Susan's on her way.
Hello, everyone.
Susan.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
I apologize, Anthony and Matthew. I sent you both emails that I couldn't find the Zoom meeting, but I've since found it with Andy's help. Thank you.
Hey, Adam. So Joanne did let me know she was doing something tonight. She was going to try and get on. So maybe we'll just give another minute or two, and then if she's not here, we'll just get started. Unless we're waiting for somebody else. I see Pat's on. Hey, Pat.
How about Tricia?
Oh, I don't see Tricia here either.
I just let her in.
Oh, we just let Tricia in. Yeah, she is here. Hi, Tricia. Okay, it's 7:02. We may as well get started.
Nope, everybody's in.
All right. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Excuse me. Call to the community. This is the time for citizens who would like to address City Council. I think that would be the RPG Commission on any non-agenda item. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter, asking that the matter be put on a future agenda, or responding to criticism. There's nobody here for a call to the community. Okay, there's nobody here. Next, business. Approval of minutes. Presenter, Marissa Romo, Deputy City Clerk. Discussion and possible action to approve the January 14th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
So there's nothing necessarily, big for me to point out.
Just call for a motion.
Chairman, I have a question.
Commissioner Faith? Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Faith.
At the bottom of page 5, it says commissioners cannot debate items between members via email. I don't recall that being discussed, and I'm not sure who members would be, staff members. So maybe that's.
So.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you. So what were you saying, Commissioner Faith?
It doesn't seem clear. I know we can't discuss that we can't create a quorum through email, but discussing with members. I don't know if we should update the minutes to make that correct.
See what it says.
So I can't, did you say the bottom of page 5? So that would be the last page?
No, in the minutes, it would be page 1.
Oh, page 1.
He's on page 5 of the packet.
Oh, okay, pardon me.
Yes.
That's the second bullet point.
It cannot hit reply all. Because,
So
Right, the one right after that.
should it just say commissioners instead of members?
So the
I
minutes.
believe that's what it means.
Right?
The minutes, just it's stating the conversation that was had. It's not, like, if it wasn't specified in that way, we can't
Change it.
state it that way.
so I think, did you guys hear Marissa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so her point was if it was stated that way, we can't really change it or correct it now. But I think that it's good to clarify exactly what is meant by we can't hit reply all and discuss anything outside of what would be a regular meeting. Sonny, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think it's commissioners cannot debate items between members via email, meaning you can't discuss back and forth items with all the commission on email. It has to be an open meeting. I think that's what Matthew meant at the time when he was saying that, but what Marissa's done is record verbatim what was said. So we don't really make a change here unless Matthew was here to do it. So that should clarify it, and I think you can approve the minutes.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Vice Chairperson Phillips. Can I have a second, please? Did anybody, Commissioner Fix?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Okay. Information only. City Center Park presenter Woody Scouten, City Engineer. Mr. Scouten will provide an update for the City Center project, including the park phasing plan. Take it away, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Commissioner, or Chairman and members of the commission. Woody Scouten, I've been working as your city engineer for about the last 15 years and the last year as an employer, a little over a year. So I've been involved in the city center project for quite a few years and have been very excited to help get it off the ground. And of course, you know, there's some of you I haven't met yet, but the rest of you were very involved in our park planning process that occurred several months ago. So I'm going to give you an update on that as well. So let me just jump into it here. And it says for information only. Does that mean that we can't ask for questions or have a discussion afterward?
You, Marissa, if you don't mind me saying, you can discuss it. It's just they can't make any motions to.
Oh, okay.
to
No,
approve or anything. No action.
No action. Okay. So let me share my screen real quick here and run through this presentation. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is similar to the presentation I gave to the council on January 20th. That's why it says that. That photo is a picture of Kierland Commons, which is in Scottsdale, which is kind of an analog for what we expect the city center to end up looking like. So the things that we've accomplished in the last year are listed here. It's, you know, we developed, prepared a development agreement We started a parcel bid process for developers. We've done a lot of soil testing. All the utilities were identified. We went through a selection process and selected Aiken Gardner as our construction manager at risk. And if you like, later on, I can explain what that is. We did a little bit of tweaking to the street layout and some of the design details of the streets. And as you know, we prepared the plan for the park. We also prepared an option B for the street layouts that would allow some of the buildings to front on the park. We ultimately didn't use that option because we thought it was best to have the better traffic circulation throughout the city center. The council selected the roundabout concept for the Litchfield Road Village Parkway intersection. I'll show you that in a second. And then we've prepared all the concepts for landscaping, hardscaping, like furniture and lighting and so on, and monument signs. All the grading and drainage design has been completed. All of the utility coordination and plans for new utilities have been completed. We're actually in the last stages of finalizing APS designs. As a street design and the plans for the streets and the grading and everything has been completed to about 90 to 95%. A little bit about drainage, just we have decided that we're going to have a centralized drainage system. So all of the drainage will flow to an underground stormwater retention system, which is located under the south end of the park. And that way, excuse me, that way when developers come in and develop their site, all they have to do is connect to a storm drain. They don't have to worry about providing their own stormwater retention. The water system has been completed. We will be, when we build the utilities, we'll be extending typical water connection lines, fire lines. We'll be replacing some of the existing water lines that are in that area. Sewer system is a little bit more tricky because the sewer that runs through that site is a live sewer that carries flows from the Loloma area, and we'll have to replace that because it's too shallow and it's very old. And that's going to be an interesting process to do that while it's flowing. And as I mentioned, we've got the dry utilities, APS, telecommunications, and so on. All of those have been completed. Gas, we will be extending gas service to all of the parcels. And then we're creating public utility easements for all of the private utilities because they, and Liberty Utility as well, because they require their facilities to be located in an easement or right of way. So this is the current overall plan that has been tweaked a little bit. You can see the roundabout is shown there on Litchfield Road. I'll show you a little bit more detailed picture in a second. And if you can see my cursor, all of the, there's 6 parcels that are available for development. So start with parcel 1 up here at the north end, parcel 2 between Scout Lodge and the future park, parcel 3 over by Old Litchfield Road, parcel 4 is the park itself, parcel 5 is this big parcel over by Litchfield Road, which will probably end up being split into 2 depending on what the developer's interest is. And then parcel 6, which wraps around City Hall. Phase 1 is what we're undertaking right now, which is all of the improvements on Litchfield Road, including the roundabout, and then extending Village Parkway into the city center site to the Desert Avenue alignment and building those 2 mini roundabouts that you see. And then the first phase of the park would be included in that as well. And the idea here is that this gets all the work done on Litchfield Road done right now and opens up the project for development. So we've in this way, we're able to show potential developers that we have a real project that we've got a front door and that we're serious about moving this project forward. And all of the utilities will be in, not just in phase one, but throughout the site, because it's very difficult to build utilities in a phased approach like this, because most of the utility companies require that they be able to have two ways to serve all of the parcels in case one of their facilities, a line breaks or goes out of service for some reason. So this is the roundabout. We hired through our consulting engineer an expert in roundabouts design in Arizona. This is a company, a person who has designed numerous roundabouts for ADOT and other cities, counties throughout the state. In fact, if you drive I-17, you get off at the Camp Verde exit, Highway 260, and you go east, those roundabouts were designed by this gentleman. So we feel very comfortable that we've got a good design here that will work not only to carry the traffic on Litchfield Road, but also to provide a safe intersection for Village Parkway, the existing Village Parkway drivers. And it'll also accommodate semi trucks. We're trying to discourage truck traffic on Litchfield Road, but this, we still need to be able to accommodate them. You are somewhat familiar, or maybe not all of you are familiar with the park plan, but here it is, and this is the phasing that we came up with. So phase one would basically involve the first restroom, this Palm Plaza area, a seating area, and then possibly the water features, some more seating, tables and chairs. This circular plaza area, this north-south sidewalk, this sidewalk, and this half of the event lawn. The east half of the park would be in a future phase. And then phases, actually. Phase two would be the playground area. Phase three would be the event lawn, and then phase four would be the amphitheater. And not to go through all of this in detail, because I know you're familiar with the list of amenities that we wanted to put in there, but this is what would be included in phase one at a cost of about $1.9 million. Phase two would be the addition of the play zone at about $430,000. Phase three would be the east half of the event lawn and another restroom. Phase four would be the amphitheater. We've still got the carousel in there, although I highly doubt that that's going to end up being a part of the park, at least anytime soon. But we carried that cost in there just kind of as a cushion too. So anyway, the total cost of the park right now is estimated to be about $3.3 million when it's finished. And then moving forward, we initially started out thinking that we would do two GMPs. A GMP is a guaranteed maximum price. So we hire a construction manager at risk, which is Aiken Gardner, and they assist us with the final design and the preparation of the plans. They give us a lot of advice in terms of constructability of the various elements in the project. They give us cost estimates, and they look at value engineering. Is there a cheaper way, a less expensive way to do something that still provides the same function, but at a lower cost? So they do a lot of that kind of analysis as we're finishing the plans and finalizing the design. So when we get to that point, then they're comfortable giving us what's called a guaranteed maximum price, which means that for that particular scope of work, and in this case, we identified GMP1 as being installation of all the utilities, and abandonment of old utilities, some demolition, and so on. that they're comfortable moving ahead. Now, we don't have that GMP from them yet, but I've estimated that to cost it about $2 million. And then GMP 2 would be construction of the phase 1 improvements that include the roundabout, Litchfield Road improvements, the Village Parkway, and all of the grading and drainage, and phase 1 of the park at about 6.6 million. So the first phase of this project, we estimate to be about $9 to $10 million. Since I presented this to the council, we've decided that maybe the better approach is to get started with the first GMP would be just demolition and site preparation. Getting the trees cleared out. There's some old asphalt, some old concrete. There's that wall that needs to come down, and get all of that cleaned out and get it ready for construction. And then by the time that the contractor is nearing completion on that, then we would go with the second GMP, which would actually be the utilities at that time. And then the third GMP would be the phase 1 improvement. So we've kind of tweaked this approach a little bit, and we're still working on it, but I think that's going to be a better way to get construction started sooner on the project, and then we can just continue to roll forward into GMP 2 and GMP 3. So that's all I have to present. I'm glad to answer any questions that anybody might have. And maybe I'll take this down for now, but we can put it back up again.
Question?
Go ahead, Commissioner Brian Colbreth.
All right. Woody, if you could actually put back up the PowerPoint. I had a question about the phase 1 infrastructure.
Okay. Back to that exhibit, that one?
Yeah, that one. So I was wondering, will Village Parkway, when this is complete, will it connect all the way to Old Litchfield Road since there's already a road next to the church there?
Yeah, eventually it will. I don't know. Let me show you that plan again. I don't know. You're talking about this segment right here.
Right.
Yeah, so we're going to, phase 1 is going to be all this in Litchfield Road. You can see where we've got to make the road curve to approach the roundabout in both directions. So that work, and then bring Village Parkway into this second mini roundabout here. There was some concern about maybe connecting that too soon. And maybe this developer might do that connection. So we're going to spend about $9 or $10 million, but maybe not another $500,000 at this point in time. But yes, eventually that would be pushed through to Old Litchfield Road. And this median right here would be modified so that it limits access coming out to the north. So there was a lot of concern about city center traffic coming out onto Old Litchfield Road and being able to turn left and go into the residential area. So we're coming up with a plan that would limit that access. So it'd be, you could turn right in, right out, and you could turn left in, but you couldn't turn left out. Now, that doesn't address this existing intersection down at Honeysuckle, but I know that would at least prevent traffic, from cutting through and going to the north.
Right. Another question. So when will additional roads be built? If, phase 1 is just that one segment, at what phase will additional roads be added?
Yeah, and the answer to that really depends on how we ultimately end up working with developers on this. And there's a few options that we've been kicking around, and it kind of depends on what kind of early interest we get in the project from developers. So, for example, we could have one developer come in and say, well, I'm interested in developing on, this parcel over here by Old Litchfield Road. In which case, then we'd have to work with that developer to figure out how we build this part of Desert Avenue and finish off this part of Honeysuckle, and maybe this part as well up here, Village Parkway. So that would just become a negotiation with that developer on how to get that done. The city may end up building part of it. The developer may end up building all of it. That's one approach. So we do a piecemeal, basically.
Right.
Another approach.
Yeah.
The second approach would be to try to attract a master developer. I mentioned Kierland. So Kierland was developed, I can't remember the name of the company, but they came in and built Kierland in 2 phases and, did all the development themselves, brought in all the tenants for all the buildings, and to this day continue to manage that project as a landlord. That's another approach. And in all of this, we have this underlying issue of how do we convey the project, the property to the developer. We're kind of hamstrung by when we try to dispose of property, publicly owned property, we have to go through, if it's there's some kind of a dollar limit, but we have to go through a bid process. So that complicates it a little bit. And then the third approach would be that the city just goes ahead and bonds for all of, and, it puts out a bond, revenue bond, and for $26 million, which is what the estimate of all of the infrastructure is, and builds all the infrastructure at once, and then starts to attract developers.
So the way I see it designed now, I don't see a lot of parking for, phase 1, if you will. So if there was some sort of event at the park in phase 1, would people just be expected to park in the dirt? Would that be the plan?
No, good question. What we're planning to do is to build a temporary parking lot right here on this parcel 5. So when I mean temporary, I mean, covered with reclaimed asphalt, similar to what we have over there now north of Honeysuckle, that we use for event parking.
Okay.
So we would do something like that, a gravel surface parking lot where people could, pull in off of this roundabout and then walk across to the park.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We
will have a little bit of parking here, but if we end up having some kind of an event at the park, we want to have some, additional overflow parking for that.
Right. And then just to confirm, the only real entrance into this area will be off of Litchfield Road for phase 1, right? There's no entrance from Honeysuckle or Old Litchfield Road, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Last question. I saw one note about a pedestrian bridge, and I was wondering where that would go.
You got me on that one.
It was on phase 1. It said pedestrian bridge and Palm Plaza, I think. And so I was just curious about that.
Okay. Sorry. That's in the park. So the pedestrian bridge is this little thing right here.
Oh, that little thing. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is this being a water feature here, the babbling brook kind of thing. And then you'd cross over that by using this little pedestrian bridge here.
Okay. I was thinking like a big bridge to cross a road or something. So yeah, that makes sense. So, okay.
No, but
okay.
That raises another good point that I want to make. What's the best? So this slide, this slide still shows a pedestrian crossing of the roundabout right here, south of the roundabout across Litchfield Road. We've since taken that out, and the reason is for pedestrian safety. So the nice thing about roundabouts is that the traffic never stops. The bad thing about roundabouts from a pedestrian standpoint is that the traffic never stops. So it's a little dicey, but roundabouts are great for traffic. They're not so good for pedestrians. So we took this out We'll still have pedestrian crossings on the approaches on the Village Parkway. And then if people who want to get from the west side of Litchfield Road to the city center will then have two options. They can use the cart path underpass and be able to get into the city center this way. There'll be a sidewalk or a pathway, and there's an existing bridge over the canal right here that they'll be able to use to get into the city center. And we'll formalize that as we build phase one. And then, of course, there's the pedestrian underpass down by Wigwam Boulevard.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
One thing I failed to mention is that this timing is going to slip a little bit. We're now projecting that we're going to be under construction in sometime in May with that first GMP. So it's slipping a little bit, but we're still going to be well under construction this summer.
So I have a question, Woody. Is there still plans for new city hall, and is that still on the north side of the park?
That's a question that hasn't really been decided yet. One of the purposes of the city center is to generate sales tax revenue for the city. So to the extent that we build a city hall that in place of a building that would otherwise generate sales taxes, maybe we should build city hall somewhere else. But I've been raising that question to our city center working group, and hopefully we'll get some direction here in the future. And I think to a certain extent it depends on the kind of developer interest that we get and the timing. Right now, I don't think it's in the cards to build a new city hall, but that may change over the next few months.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Woody? Thank you for that. Okay. Thanks for the presentation, Woody, and for answering questions there. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your attention.
Tree carving quotes and designs. Presenter Marissa Romo, Deputy City Clerk. Discussion and possible action to direct staff to obtain quotes and designs for the carving of the damaged tree at the lake.
I think you're muted.
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chairman Taddy, Commissioners. I brought this item back to you because I realized that the vote you held at your last meeting on this item was not held properly. An amendment was introduced to the original motion to have staff obtain quotes, and it was not seconded. So that does need to happen. You just need to re-vote on it. You can, of course, discuss it further if you'd like. I should also note that the agenda says direct staff, but the commission can't necessarily direct staff. You can make suggestions. So from that point, I am here if you have questions about this, but I do believe Sunny also has an update for you as well.
Yes, thank you, Marissa. On the tree carving, I think what we're looking for from the commission Last time, I know you discussed several things or ideas that you'd like to see that tree carved as. We mentioned an owl, we mentioned birds, we mentioned the fisherman. A lot of different things were mentioned. And I think I think the motion was even made to get 3 bids. I think rather than get 3 bids, what the process we normally would follow is we would send out a request for proposal from wood carvers. And in that request for proposal, you would have things such as what size the tree is, circumference, and so on. You'd also would have in there, you'd ask for designs, things that they had done before. You'd like to see a example of work they've done. You can also have certain things in there that you would like to see as part of that carving, such as the owls or the so forth. The other thing is you'd ask for a cost. What would be an approximate cost or a cost? And then after you reach out with all this information, you get people that are interested to send their packets in. And once those packets are in, the commission could review them, and they might narrow it down to 2 or 3 or possibly 1. But typically there'll be a few that you would like to have them even come make a presentation and talk a little bit more about it. And that's when the interaction begins with the commission and the carver once you've selected a carver. So what I would recommend tonight is that you can have discussion like you did last time. And Marissa and I'll take some notes. And then if it's your pleasure, staff will put together a request for a proposal, and we actually could bring it back at the next meeting for you to look over, and then we send it out. I've spoken with some artists in Goodyear. Actually, I spoke to them at the Native American Art Festival, and there's quite a few carvers that they are familiar with that would probably respond to a request for a proposal, local carvers. So that's the input that I have for you tonight, that you have an opportunity to rediscuss it and then make a motion. And that motion, rather than being something real specific, would be to send out a request for proposal and see what kind of proposals you get back. If you have any questions about what I've just said, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Then what we would need to do is make a motion for exactly what Sonny just said would be a request for proposal, keeping it very general. And then I like the idea of us reviewing the request for proposal at the next meeting. So that would have to be part of the motion.
You could also discuss now some input for that request for proposal that Marissa and I could jot down to help us put it together, if you'd like to discuss it.
Take it away, Vice Chairperson Phillips.
Thank you, Chairman Taddy. I agree with what Sonny said in that when we do the RFP that we need to have a cost, we need to have some design suggestions. So like hopefully the person will actually go to the lake and look at the tree that we're talking about. And also some of his or her previous works, installments. I also think a timeline might be helpful. Like, I don't know, I have no idea. Like, how long does it take? Do we have any time frame for an event or an unveiling or anything like that that we need to be aware of or try to make fit onto somebody's calendar?
Good suggestions.
I make a motion.
Go ahead, Richard. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Fix, and then I think Richard wanted to say something too.
I was just going to ask Richard maybe if he knows, does the tree have to dry out for a specific amount of time before we can do any kind of carving to it?
It would be recommended that the wood, dry out and be ready for something like that. Wood tends to, I would say, carve a lot easier, but that's definitely something I would need to look into to have a indefinite or a definite answer for you.
So I guess circling back with Andy's timeline requirement, maybe we give them, I don't know, a year. I don't know what kind of, drying out period might be needed, but it doesn't sound like it's something that's going to be done quickly.
Sure. And I believe that trunk was left to about 20 feet high. So not to say that the artist would use the whole 20 feet, but yeah, it would take a good amount of time.
I think
Especially
that's
the-
also, excuse me, I think that's also something you could ask in the RFP,
Yeah,
input from the carver. In other words,
Right.
what's their experience with something like that? And I'm not sure we want it to remain 20 feet tall. It's just probably going to be cost, but that's
Right.
neither here nor there. I mean, that's pretty tall.
And we have to let them know what species of tree they're dealing with too, right?
Yeah, we would give them the specifications of the tree. And I think as Susan, Andy said, certainly we would want to know that they came and looked at it.
Mhm.
Do you have any things you'd want to put in? As like you mentioned the owl last time, even if there's just some ideas and we could put those as examples from the commission.
well, I was sort of thinking like a turtle, because they're kind of at the bottom. If they go with things that are native to the lake, a turtle, maybe a fish, and then a bird or something like that. But those are just my thoughts. I think we have to be careful. Like 20 feet is really tall, but it would be awesome if we could afford 20 feet tall. We don't want it to be like a little stub though either. So I think we need to, keep it a good size, because we want it to be sort of a monumentish thing and not just something small. But so then we would need to include in there like a design request, past work. We would send all of the specifics for the tree. We would need them to look at the tree, and then some sort of time frame.
Yeah, I think we would ask them how long, once they start, first of all, when would they be able to start based on if the
When
tree
the
needs
tree
to
is
dry
ready.
out?
Yeah.
Right, and then what time frame from their experience would it take for them to complete it?
Right. And then I think another thing that just came to me is maintenance. What sort of maintenance is going to be required, and what would that look like in dollars?
Okay.
Take it away.
So I just
Commissioner
Googled fisherman tree carvings, and there's a few ideas on here with where they actually leave the tree and they carve things into it. So it could be an owl, it could be a fisherman, it could be all the ideas we might have, any kind of something that might symbolize Litchfield Park, the logo, it could be, a variety of things.
Sure.
Sort of totem pole-ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we need a motion that includes all of those things somehow, right, Marissa?
All right.
So I'm thinking we could have a motion using language like And somebody would say, I motion to put out an RFP encompassing everything that we discussed. Is that possible? To keep it, short,
Yeah,
but still have everything in it?
yeah, that's fine. Move to request staff, put out RFP for.
Inclusive to what was mentioned at tonight's RPG meeting? Okay, it sounds like we can go with that. Not everybody at once.
Who wants to take a motion?
So who would like to make that first motion?
Angie?
I will. I move that we put out an RFP for the tree at the lake that includes all of the discussions that we had at our meeting this evening.
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor, say
No.
aye.
We have to have
Aye.
discussion.
Oh, pardon me. Does anybody want to discuss before we vote? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Commissioner Faith, did you raise for opposed? I'm sorry.
No, aye.
Okay. All right. I wanted to clarify.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Storm damage, presenter, Richard Alvarado, Director of Public Works. Discussion regarding the damage in the city following a microburst on January 25th, 2021. Information only.
Thank you, Chairperson Taddy. Good evening, Vice Chair, Chairperson Phillips, and members of the commission. So what we have is just kind of an update for the storm that took place on January 25th, around 2 p.m. We experienced a large microburst passing through the city. Path kind of took through Scout Underpass, Scout Park, went through the golf course, and exited out of Dysart and Villanueva is what we see. But through that, we lost quite a few trees. We lost about 32 trees in all these areas. Over there in the village, Litchfield Park or Litchfield Road right away, a few trees in our pathways. And after the storm had taken place, we had our public works crew pretty much address the situation immediately. We had West Coast called in to give us a hand on the cleanup. Had about 11 public works staff members stay and assist with that until we were pretty much safe to go home for the day, and then presume the following morning on the cleanup there. So in that storm, you can see from the pictures, thank you, Marissa, for putting that up for me, the Scout Park umbrellas that cover the Scout play equipment have blown over. So the strong winds bent that structure. One of the awnings right there was pretty much, you can no longer use it. The other one just lost the fabric, so we're looking to replace that. And then further down, the Scout Park Ramada, that one really took a beating from the storm. Pretty much demolished that one to an unsafe use. So what we had done is we currently have the park play equipment and the Ramada closed down until we can pretty much get it repaired and back up to what Scout Park once was there. In addition to all that, we had a few street signs blow over from that windstorm. So our staff got right back on it, put some temporary signs up, as well as repaired the signs that were repairable at the time. And you can see that right there. We had some big pine trees. If any of you, this is the entrance, the first entrance just south of Camelback, right there off of Dysart, turning into Villanueva. That pine tree there just blew over, ripped up the curbing, tore the irrigation up there. And if you go to the next slide there, Marissa, we have our, that's Scout Park. The majority of the trees were lost in that Scout Park underpass. A lot of the trees that lined up that canal and along the right of way to the right of that picture were lost there. So that's kind of an update of where we're at with the storm damage. And you see our public works crew right there clearing the road out on that day. So they did an excellent job along with West Coast Arborists getting Litchfield Park back up. Public Works did an excellent job cleaning the streets, making it look like the storm never happened. So, and with that, that's all I got for an update for the past storm damage. Any questions or responses to that one?
Commissioner Fix?
Richard, I just want to say that the staff, the response time to that storm was incredible. I went
Thank you.
out about 15 minutes after that storm, and you guys were already on site with chainsaws and blowers and cleaning it up. I was completely impressed, and I hope the rest of our community can see how quickly you guys respond to cleaning up, you know, the damage. So thank you.
Thank you. And you are welcome. That's what we try to do. We try and fix these problems fairly quick. So we appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Richard, and thank you guys for getting out there as quickly as you did and cleaning it up. Right on.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, Wayfinding Signs. Presenter, again, Richard Alvarado, Director of Public Works. Discussion and possible action to approve the selection of a wayfinding sign to replace the existing signs in the community. Take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you again. So what we have here is the wayfinding signs. So staff has looked into the updating of the current wayfinding signs located in the city. We currently have 2 of them, and a couple of we considered the following options when we went out and requested some designs and quotes to replace these. A couple things we took into account were the cost, the colors, and the design with the logo and the potential upgrading of the signs with the future city center development. So these may be temporary, or they may be there until they're needed to be replaced again. But a couple things to point out. You'll see the options on the slide. This is option 1, but the older wayfinding signs would read City of Litchfield Park, had the old logo on it, the Historical Business District, resort, restaurants, services, and shoppings. And from last month's meeting, a couple recommendations were on there. So we had changed that up, and you can see on this one, some of the requests are updated there. And you'll see resort, dining, library, and recreation center have all been placed on there. But the new wayfinding sign, you'll see the new city logo as well as a tagline below it. And as we go further down, we got a couple different color schemes in this as options. This is option 2 here, using the darker colors, orange trim. And then the third option below is the nice kind of bright, fresh white color, kind of consistent with what the current wayfinding signs are now out on Litchfield and Indian School. But so those are the options, and staff recommends choosing the second option in this, moving forward with the updating of the wayfinding signs. So with that, we'll go ahead and take any questions or comments.
Always me.
Commissioner Fix, take it away.
Richard, can you show us a picture of what the old one looks like actually installed?
Ooh, from my other packet, I'm here at home with my packets. I have the older sign. I'm not sure, Sonny, if it's possible, do you have a picture that we may have sent you of the old one? I know in the previous RPG meetings, we had provided pictures
Okay, let me see if I can
of what
find
the
it.
older one looked like.
So they basically are bolted into the ground, yes?
Yeah, so the steel framing that's around there, we would use that current frame, and
Okay.
the current signs that are on there are pretty much just kind of bolted on, so they would be easy to remove. And with these designs, we had the vendor go off of the measurements of the current wayfinding, so that way, when we do get them replaced, we would be able to have them installed just as easy, and everything would kind of go in place and kind of stay consistent from what it once was.
Okay, I found a picture if anybody wants me to send it to them.
Marissa actually
Okay.
has a picture. She's bringing it up right now.
There we go. Thank you, Marissa.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
I'm
Vice
wondering,
Chairperson Phillips.
I'm wondering why city staff was going with the dark background. To me, I worry about fading. I don't know. I think the other one pops out more, but that's just, I think the white backgrounds show off the lettering more, but that's just me. And are the signs pretty sturdy as far as sun and weather? I guess they are, because that one there has lasted a while.
Yes, Chairperson Phillips. Yes, good questions on those. That's just kind of what we recommended as staff.
Okay.
We've talked with multiple staff members, and the dark just seemed like the one to go.
Okay.
But with all and any materials, the, I guess, lifespan of these, you just kind of never know how long it's going to last. But the material that is used, it is a Dibond aluminum, and it's currently kind of the material that is used with all signage that is used by other cities, businesses. And that's one of the questions that we did ask the vendor, the kind of the durability.
Okay.
And he's looking at 8 to 10 years. I'm not sure how long the wayfinding sign, the older one, when that was originally installed. And that one does look pretty bad, with the cracking. But all in all, the sign is still up there. And
Well, it's been a while, because how long has it been since we had the new logo? That's been a while.
yeah,
So, okay, thank you.
sure.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brian Colbreth.
Richard, so I saw the current sign had that outside frame. Would the new one have that same frame? And I'm assuming it would be repainted to match whatever color scheme is selected? Or?
Yes, sir. We would do that. Frame would stay in place, and our staff would repaint that.
Okay. I would personally be in favor of the darker one that staff selected, especially knowing that it's going to have that outer frame that would probably be one solid color. I think it would look good.
Commissioner Fix?
Thank you. My only concern is that the brown might not pop when you compare that brown to like the rock that the picture, it might fade away to that. But if that frame is painted really, really bright, I think then it makes sense. But if it's all the same color, I don't recommend that.
That's a good point. And we can look into that color for that framing. I think it's right now that frame is kind of I would say like a dirty green, you could say, or maybe an olive green. And to make that pop, to your point, you have that orange trim that is currently around the border of this. We could match that orange to the outside of the frame as well to kind of make it stand
I think
out.
that look nice. Yeah. That's good.
Are there any other questions? Could you, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Faith.
I just have one comment. I think our official logo that I've seen is the city of Litchfield Park, like it is on the old sign. So I would suggest we consider just having the city of, like in small letters above it. I'm not entirely sure if that is our official name. Just wanted to throw that out there. I noticed that was different between the design.
No, that's it's a good catch and good eye on that. So the paper that was sent out to the vendor, we sent them out along with when the city had changed and used the new logo, there was a identity standard guide for the logo as well as the color schemes. So we requested that they go by and use the same color schemes as we currently use. And this particular one here is specified. It has the Litchfield Park name, but with the tagline. So I believe the city's tagline is "Discover the Park." So that's why this particular one is missing the city of Litchfield Park. And if we did put the city of Litchfield Park, it would reconfigure where the logo is, as well as Litchfield Park. It would put the logo directly on the left-hand side of Litchfield Park, and then the city of would be added to the top of it, and Discover the Park, I believe, would be missing from that.
I will retract my comment. I'm glad that you have looked at that. And if that's our official guidelines, I just wanted to make sure we were thinking of that. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Could I just clarify again what Richard said? There's actually three or four different ways, which Marissa just put one up. If it says the city of Litchfield Park, this would have to be the configuration that Marissa just set up. There's probably 8 different ways our logo can be displayed. And we actually were giving the people that designed it, said these are the only ways you can display your logo. And the city of Litchfield Park, Discover the Park, is one of them, as Marissa has up. So if you prefer the city, then Richard would have them just put that on the dark one as that'd be the difference, right, Richard?
Yes, Sonny, you're correct. And again, I want to point out that the colors are, they're up for discussion, and just know the commission's opinion does matter. So we take all that into consideration in choosing this.
What does the commission prefer?
I would vote for less is more on a sign, because people are going to be driving by this. And so they're going to be looking for quick directions to where they're going to go. And I don't know that having the city of in there on something like signage is going to be, that important to which way they're going to turn. And I just think having the Litchfield Park, and I personally like Discover the Park, so I think that needs to be kind of in the forefront too, myself.
Chairman, can I have a comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I can't see him.
Right.
Everybody, oh, there you are. Go ahead, Commissioner Face.
Oh, after understanding the difference between the designs, I do definitely like the one that has the Discover the Park and the design centered in the sign. I am somewhat concerned about the brownish background where I do like the design and everything, but the sign on Litchfield Park is very close to the road. And it's low to the ground as well. So we would want to make sure that it is visible and doesn't get run into. That's all I had to say.
Richard, can I ask what was the reason why, or was there a reason why the one in the middle, the darker one, was favored? Or Sonny, do you want to field that one? Was there a reason why? I'm just trying to think. Is there some other reason why it would have been better to have that sign?
I'd rather have Richard answer that.
Yeah, it just felt like it popped a little bit more with the darker color along Indian School Road and Litchfield Road. We have that lighter color granite. Everything's kind of light through there with the wall kind of being a light tannish as well. Particularly in these spots, we just thought that the brown kind of popped more. It looked good. The colors all just kind of stood out. And really, after talking with multiple staff members, that seemed like the one that everyone had picked. So that's pretty much the reasoning for the brown one. Now, not to say that, this white one, that one stands out pretty good, with the white and the orange, and we could definitely add the Discover the Park and, change up the logo to that. But it just seems like it may get lost in that whole landscaped area there.
You don't think people will freak out if you put an orange or a green frame around it? I mean, I remember when the red roof went on the bathroom at Turtle Park.
And then the orange might make it, kind of pop as well. You're driving and you see that orange there, or potentially, we can get that green color scheme that outlines it as well, but I'm not sure how well that would go with that orange border.
Yeah.
But I do think that the orange would kind of make that sign pop out a little bit more.
I agree. So this said action 2, so our goal is to pick one, correct?
Yes, so I believe there would be a motion and then a second and then an opportunity for more discussion and then a vote.
You can choose one, or you can make a recommendation that staff make updates to the samples provided.
Yeah, so Marissa just brings a really good point. If we don't want to choose one, we can recommend that staff create edits to what we now have in front of us. And then we could say, well, we'd like to see it with the edits prior to, choosing one.
What's the turnaround time, Richard, on one of these guys?
I would say max 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Minimum 1 week.
Okay.
I would say this, yeah, that's what I would do.
So could we do a show of hands of who's in favor of the dark brown sign? And then vote that way?
Sure. I'll go with the dark brown
A
as long
vote
as we...
prior to a motion?
I would just ask that somebody
I-
make a motion, and then
Okay.
if you choose to second it or not, and then if it does get seconded, you can just be in favor of it or not.
So
So how
Marissa's
about-
feeling like an informal vote would be inappropriate, that we would make a motion and then, we would second it, have an opportunity for discussion, and then our votes on it would be the actual votes.
So if I made a motion to approve staff's design of the dark brown sign
With an outline color?
with an outline color, yes, either bright orange or bright green.
Thank you.
So are you going to second that then, Vice Chairperson Phillips?
Yes, please.
Is there anybody that would like to discuss that more? This was the brown sign. Perhaps Marissa, you could put that up so we're looking at it prior to. Commissioner Faith?
Yes, I would add that the sign that is on Indian School is quite large. I think if that was painted bright orange, it would pop a little bit too much.
You mean the frame?
It's a big sign.
Just the frame, though?
I think all the signs are the same size.
Is it?
Yes, both signs are the same size.
Oh, okay. I drove past it today. It seemed a lot bigger.
So, Commissioner Faith, did you want to, or did we in the motion or the second, did we say that we wanted the city of Litchfield Park added, or are we okay with this as is?
I like it as is, and I believe that's how the motion was.
Yes.
Yes, it was. Is
One
there
more
any more
discussion?
discussion? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Commissioner Brian Colbert?
Yeah, it's kind of getting details, but do we want bright orange, or do we want an orange that kind of matches the color scheme of the actual sign? Because it doesn't look like it's not like a super bright orange. It's a little bit muted orange, right?
Yeah, it matches.
Yeah, an orange that would match the sign,
Right.
obviously. Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Would you say crossing guard orange?
No,
No,
Not
Commissioner
that-
Colbert, we would match that orange with the color scheme
Yeah.
from that standard guide there.
Cool.
Okay, I can't see everybody now because, there we go. Thank
well,
you.
and I guess I have one point of discussion. I'm okay with this now because we have a little bit of salvation in the fact that when the city parks and everything, the whole downtown stuff gets done, we might get to change them again anyhow. So if it turns out like, ooh, maybe that wasn't our best choice, or maybe a better idea comes along, then we can change, maybe because we're going to have more to do down the road anyhow.
And I believe, Richard, was there a cost per sign or like an estimate per sign mentioned at the last meeting?
I am not sure on that. Like we needed to
Richard,
get,
don't you have a bid for those signs?
I do have a bid for, yes, these two signs.
Okay, I think that's what he wants to know.
Okay, sure. I can share that with you. So for the two signs, brand new would be $1,281.
That's a little over 600 each.
Silly question, Richard. Can they be changed? So, for instance, if they wanted to change one of the bullets to say like city center, is that an option with this sign?
You know what? I would say so. I mean, with these being new and installed on there and in good condition, I would say there would be a fee to redo that surface.
Right.
So
Okay.
I would say that'd be an option. But I don't think they would be as easy as just to add something kind of in there. It would have to be the entire sign at that moment.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion, any questions regarding the signs? Okay, we have a motion. We've got a second to the motion. So the rest is just to vote. All in favor of moving forward with the recommended middle sign, the brown with the orange on the outside, say aye.
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 All opposed? So let it be. Thank you, Richard.
Welcome.
Richard, you're up again.
Yeah, forgive me. I need to get my battery charger on the phone here. So if you don't mind, would you give me a minute so I can grab that charger?
No, go right ahead.
All right, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I had to lay my phone down and get out of the picture. I had to put it on the charger.
All right. I believe I'm back. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. So next we're going to talk about the park furniture. Director of Public Works, Richard Alvarado, discussion and possible action to select furniture to be placed in city parks.
Okay, here we go again. My phone is a little low, so I'm having trouble hearing you guys. But so our Public Works staff has been looking into replacing some of the tables and benches in our parks. So we're looking into some options, and what we'd like to focus on is the benches and tables located at Camelback Park and Turtle Park. And a few things, Camelback is currently missing a table just due to age and rust, and we just removed it for safety purposes. But we would like to start replacing the damaged and missing tables and benches in these parks. And it would take some time to kind of replace and get everything looking pretty much have a consistent look throughout our parks. But a couple things that we looked at, and when you go through the packet, we gave a few options. Some of these benches have some designs, and others are a little bit more, have more of a design, not such a playful look. But let's see here. A lot of options that would come along with these benches. So a couple things that we considered was cost again, durability when going through these. But we are looking to narrow down and provide a few options of the park furniture. And again, Public Works is striving to provide and maintain consistent look and feel through the city. So in doing so, we provided the options and looking for some input and recommendations in moving forward to get the park furniture updated and back up to City of Litchfield Park standards. So with that, I will take any questions or comments for the tables and benches here.
Isn't
Richard,
the le-
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd
go
like
ahead.
it for whoever. Was that you, Sonny?
No,
No,
it was Andy, but go ahead, Anthony.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. So is the long-term plan, whatever type of bench is selected, to convert all the benches in all of the parks to those types of benches? Or are we just focusing, I think I heard you say Camelback Park and Turtle Park. Is that the case?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we would like, so in the options here, you have some, kind of fun and playful designs. And then your second option there, you kind of have, I would say, I'm not sure if modern is the type, but more of kind of a bench that you would see, maybe walking in a downtown area. If you could skip again for me, Marissa, something like that. And the third option, if you go down to the next slide, those are kind of the color. That one there. So we're kind of looking for a particular feel when you're going to some of these parks and places. So this would be different. We would use different options in different places. Obviously, we wouldn't have a kind of a pond or a leaf, with a turtle, bench sitting down at our Memorial Park area, or let's say our library area. So something like that we would probably expect to see located more in the center of the city there. Something like this, we were considering, going to a park, being a little playful, a little durability out there for the weather, and all the traffic that would be going through the parks. This is something we would kind of want to consider. And even if we didn't have the design there, it would still be that type of bench that you normally see out in the parks. Marissa, if you go kind of the ADA in your packet there's a couple ADA benches or round tables and square tables. So it would be that style that we would place out in our park areas. Hope that answers your question.
Yes.
I think, don't we
Vice
already?
Chairperson Phillips. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Don't we already have the Lexington bench at Scout Park?
I believe it's similar.
Or it's like its sister or something.
Yeah, it's very similar, and the problem with these, or what Public Works would like to do, is be consistent with these benches.
Right.
At times, it's hard to find vendors, and as a city, we look at cost. So sometimes vendors will have them on hand, and sometimes they will no longer sell them. So then, in return, we have to move on to a different vendor.
Right.
But
so
yeah, you
I'm
could say
all
that's
about,
similar to the bench that is there.
I am all about color and whimsical. I would love to sit on one of those benches. Just, they look short to me. And I'm thinking if an older person sat on that, it might not be super comfortable, or a tall, long-legged person, which, I mean, we're not buying a sofa, I realize that. But, and if we already have Lexington-looking benches in Scout Park, and, unless we want to redo them, I don't know. Is there any place that somebody could sit on one of the fun ones? Do they have a showroom?
Richard, is there anywhere that has the?
Is there anywhere
I'm sorry.
Is there anywhere we could sit on one of the, like the bug bench or the leaf bench?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
I have a question.
Anthony?
I'm sorry. Commissioner Brian Colbreth and then Commissioner Fix.
Okay. Yeah, in looking at these different designs today, I also was thinking about, comfort and also thinking about aesthetics. And I agree with what Andy was saying. The first ones, well, some of the designs look kind of neat and playful for a park, but I agree they don't look very comfortable to me. And then also that blue steel one aesthetically to me does not look very good. So I would then, if these are our choices, I would lean towards the Lexington. And I know there's a lot of different colors as well, but to me that one looks like it would be kind of checks the boxes that I would consider when looking at benches.
All right,
Nice.
so my question is, Richard, you've also supplied us with actual a table with 3 benches around it, a couple options of those. Are we putting one of those and a bench, or is it one or the other?
So these tables here, this style and material and kind of framework was already in our park areas, and specifically over there at Camelback, the table that was missing, that one was a square, but these would be the tables that would go, that we feel that would be the best to go in our park, to kind of help, I guess, with a little with comfort, durability, and the potential for vandalism, and then also considering the ADA. So if somebody that needed that could, they'd also be able to enjoy the table there as well. But the current benches that we do have at our parks, I believe, are cement with a wood backing throughout our lake and our Stags Park. I believe Turtle Park has the cement benches right now. And a lot of those are being chipped, they're chipping away, cracking, getting water damage. Water's a big thing in our parks right now. Where these tables and benches have been placed in the past, the water tends to hit them on a regular.
So are you going to move locations so they're not sprinkler targets? If you can?
Yeah, I would say we would not be able to do that, except for, maybe Turtle Park. Right now, there's an umbrella that's there in the center of the playground. So that one would potentially not get any water from the sprinklers. But where the benches are currently placed surrounding the play equipment, it's inevitable that the water is going to get on there.
Okay. And one more question, what we choose will be what will be used going forward, right?
Well, we can,
for a while.
You can recommend. Right now, as a staff, we're just looking into options. There is nothing kind of in concrete and set. We're just kind of giving some options, a different feel. So judging from out of the 3 options, the Lexington style is kind of the style that you guys are looking for and looks great. So we can continue to look into this. There's many different makers or names, different styles other than the Lexington bench. So we can definitely look into those and see if we can find something a little different. Like this bench, you can get wood backing on surrounding from the top to the bottom there. We can get recycled wood. That may be a little bit softer. I know the steel, or how you can say powder coated with the plastic on top, that would be a big plus to put on there, because our hot summers, these benches, if they're steel or any kind of metal, it's not going to be nice. So
right.
And I believe right now Scout Park is like that.
Yeah.
I believe they have like a metal feel to them.
Yeah, and they're comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
suggestion, Chairman. I would suggest an option similar to what is in the village area at our parks, like our Rose Park and Aleppo. I think that there's sort of, if I remember right, like a sturdy metal frame, but with some kind of fake wood slats or sitting areas. I think those would blend well with the ones in the old in the walls that are concrete and wood.
Those are going to go away.
Profile, basic, raw materials, not not plasticky.
No, that's a great point. I mean, with the plastic recycled wood, there's definitely some options. Gives it that warm kind of feel as well. Sturdiness of the steel or powder coat at the base of it, and it could potentially be easy on maintenance as well as taking off some of that material and replacing it as it does get damaged.
Right. I think it would match with the a lot of the playground equipment. The newer stuff in the parks are made of similar material, with that like fake wood.
like a resin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as an idea too, I wonder if a few of the bug benches would be appropriate, or the leaf benches would be appropriate in an area that we would consider more of a kids play area, like closer to the jungle gym or whatever the case. Because I kind of, it reminds me of almost like benches you would see at schools. I don't know if you still see them around. Yep, those.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's not that every bench in the park is exactly the same. Maybe it's suited to whatever spot that it's being installed in.
That doesn't help Richard at all.
I know.
Yeah, because then that would, we kind of gone over that as well. Having too many options and choices tends to be a bit to handle.
Yeah.
But if we can get to a uniform standard, even if it's like 1 to 2, maybe a 2 max on a different, because with Scout having that Lexington bench and that feel there, we'd want to kind of get a standard of what we want to see in all these parks as we start to update some of this furniture.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I doubt they're going to be making the bug benches forever. Like, as you mentioned, the vendors tend to change over, in 10 years from now, as we need to start replacing these, it could be very difficult to find a replacement for a unique bench versus something. I mean, I feel like those concrete benches have been there for forever, and they just kind of get fixed as they get worn out.
Yeah, but the slats on a lot of those you can't even sit on them.
Yeah.
They're just like rotting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And then some of them have tipped over the concrete base, right? I think just from the ground up, but we're not helping very much.
So Commissioner Fix, did you have?
Yeah, I was going to ask, and circling back to what Brian said about the benches at Rose Park and Aleppo. Brian, Richard, is there maybe a way you could come back to us with options to maybe have some continuity with those benches?
Yeah, that's definitely something that we can do. Have a little bit more options coming with that fake wood or recycled wood material, and maybe bring some options for some different looks when it comes to that. And that could set kind of a standard as we move to replace some of this stuff in these parks.
In the meantime, it's probably a good idea for commissioners to get out and look at some of the benches and get a feel for, what's out there now and what kind of shape they're in, and maybe add to the discussion then. So are there any other questions? I don't think we're ready for action on this yet. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
And another point real quick, Scout Park is probably a good one to visit, with that Lexington bench there, as well as the Ramadas that have kind of collapsed and they do need to be replaced right now. You'll see the green tabletops there with that base. I believe 2 of them are the extended long with the ADA and 2 are regular sized tabletops there. You can kind of visit there and kind of check that table out, and that goes along with one of the options that we provided in there, where the circular ADA compliant table is, as well as the rectangular tabletop.
Okay.
So it kind of gives you a better idea.
So, because it was agendized for action, I would suggest asking for a motion to table it until staff provides additional options for consideration.
So Marissa's idea is that we have a motion to table this until we see the additional considerations. So that would be a motion, a second, an opportunity for discussion, and then a vote. Does anybody want a motion to table until we see the additional considerations?
Brian?
I'll second it.
Who motioned?
Who motioned to,
All
was
right.
Commissioner Fix, was that you with the initial
Sure.
motion?
Sure.
Can I
make a
have you say the whole
motion.
sentence?
Yes, I motioned that we table this topic of the park furniture until staff comes back to us with a few other options.
I'll second.
Okay. Additional time for discussion. Is there any additional discussion now? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So passed. Okay. Topics for referral to City Council. Discussion of possible topics for referral to the City Council. Information, action. Nothing? Okay. Staff report on current events. The commission will review and possibly discuss the monthly reports provided to the City Council from Public Works and Community and Recreation Services Department. Information only. So Public Works monthly report. Is this you, Richard?
Yes, if you could. Yeah, it is me, sir. All right, here we go. So again, Public Works kind of field report. A lot of it is routine of what Public Works does on a weekly basis, but it kind of breaks it down for you and gives you kind of an understanding of how we are structured out there in the field. Our right-of-way trimming is done on a bi-weekly maintenance schedule, and on every other week, our turf manicuring is done on that following week, following the right-of-way trimming. Mowing is done regularly. Trees and turf are watered and monitored regularly. Just to kind of give you an idea of what our staff does out there with the heavy rain that we've had the past couple weeks. They've managed the water really good by turning off all the watering systems in our right-of-ways and in our turf to conserve the water and just kind of utilize what nature has provided for us there. So that's a plus on our staff side there. Spraying for weeds are done pretty much as needed. Street sweeping is on a schedule, on a weekly schedule. And so that is both the village and the city side are done bi-weekly there. Tierra Verde Lake continues to be monitored and cleaned out on a weekly basis there. A couple current projects currently in progress or soon to be completed. The pruning of the orange tree or fruit removal maintenance has been completed. Some of you may have seen West Coast arborists out there removing fruit. They have completed that. Storm cleanup, we addressed that. Storm drain maintenance, with the storms, our staff has pretty much cleaned out our storm drain crates and getting that up to par there. The restuccoing and painting of the rec center pool area and the recreation building is underway. It's close to being finished. We're looking to be completed with that hopefully by the end of next week. And then with that, our staff will begin with the landscape improvements around that facility there. The repainting and maintenance of the pool decking is underway, and I believe that's soon to be completed, if not already. And the replacing of the current wayfinding signs, we've gone over that. That looks like we're going to be able to complete that here soon as well as the furniture. So as of now, staff will work on a few more options on the benches and tables, and we'll be getting back to you guys on that. And that's what we got for Public Works report. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Okay. Community and Recreation Services Department. I believe this is Trish and Pat. Information only. Trish, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Taddy and Commissioners. Happy to be here tonight. I'll just touch briefly on some of the updates I gave in the February report. Richard already mentioned about the restuccoing and repainting going on at the rec center, along the wall, on the building itself, and also the pool deck. The pool deck is complete. That was done the week of February 1st and was just completed on the 6th. We've only got a couple more minor touch-ups from the punch list that need to be done that Richard is working on with the Gaster crew, so that should be completed soon. We had a few rain delays that made that project take a little bit longer than expected, but it's pretty much done. And also you'll see in the report that I mentioned that we are having the posts and nets on the tennis courts replaced beginning on February 23rd. Back on MLK Day on January 18th, while the rec center was closed, we had a couple of young trespassers that entered into the locked tennis courts and basketball courts. And they broke one of the posts on the east tennis courts. And because of that, we needed to have that east court post pair replaced. And we had that inspected and received a quote for that from General Acrylics. And when they took a look at it and we looked at the damage to the post and saw there was a lot of rusting in there, and presumptively that's also the case on the west tennis courts. So we asked them to quote us to replace both courts at the same time, the posts for both nets. And we got a quote for $5,139.05, which we do believe is a reasonable quote. And so we're going to move forward with replacing both at the same time rather than just the damaged east court and leave the west court. Let me think. As far as our community services, we are working on the next production of the City Line newsletter. As I'm assuming all of you know, the State of the City is presentation virtual this year is coming up this Saturday. So the City Line newsletter that comes out April through June will coincide with the state of the city and be themed around that. Our aquatics department is currently working on a programming schedule for the upcoming swim season for the summer. And we are excited about moving forward this year. As you know, with COVID, we had to close the pool down last summer. So we are working on a schedule for that and looking forward to serving the community in the summer with that. Our preschool has been back in session since the start of the new year. And we started out with 9 preschoolers in our 2 sessions. And I'm happy to report that already at this point in February, we've already doubled that. So we've got 18 preschoolers at the moment and look forward to adding several more into the classes. We're still keeping them low. We've got 13 maximum in each session. So we're still trying to do what we can to maintain a safe environment for our preschoolers, the families, and our teachers. But we're happy that they're back, and it's really fun to see their faces each day. In terms of our sports activities, spring sports registration is open and is scheduled to close on next Tuesday, the 16th. Pat's got about 275 kids currently registered in our spring sports. And we're looking forward to get more kids lined up. Usually those last few days of that last week, Pat gets bombarded with calls about how do I get my kid into the program. So we're excited to have that growing again for the spring season as well. Pat is also working on planning an adult cornhole tournament on the library lawn on Saturday, March 20th. And that is being presented for consideration by council at the February meeting next Wednesday. So we are looking forward to doing some more activities for adults in the community. So hopefully that's something you guys may be interested in, or have friends and family that may be interested in. And I'm sure Pat can share more info on that if you guys have it in just a few minutes. Special events, we had our Kiwanis Litchfield Park Trout Derby on January 23rd. And the adult session in the morning sold out with 122 spaces sold. Kids session in the afternoon had 65 spaces sold. And we received a lot of positive feedback regarding implementing the online registration format and the designated spaces, which was all new and implemented in response to COVID. But it is something that we may carry forward in future years, because people seem to be pleased with not having to wait in long lines in the morning and fight for a spot. So we will probably tweak that a little bit in the future, and hopefully maybe Commissioner Culbreth can share. I know he was out there with his family, so that was nice to see. Online registration for the Kiwanis Litchfield Park Run is going fairly well. We've got 193 registrations so far. That is scheduled, the race is scheduled to take place on Saturday, February 27th. And I know that we have some members of the Taddy family signed up. So Commissioner, thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. And the last thing that we're working on in terms of special events is the Spring Art and Wine Festival, which will take place on March 6th and 7th, and that will be our last major event for the special events season. And we are looking forward to that and working with Public Works on that as well to put on a nice, fun and safe event as well. And with that, if you have any questions of me or of Pat, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you for that, Tricia. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Chairman.
Take it away, Commissioner Faith.
You mentioned the posts on the tennis net had rusted. It's I'm not sure how old those are, but it seems like it was premature for those to be failing. is that, are we gonna be able to fix them with something, I don't know, more high quality, or, you know, galvanized steel or something that isn't going to rust? Do you have any idea with the contractor that quoted that?
Yes, that is a consideration. And actually, I'm sure Richard may be able to explain it better than I can, but yes, the post will be material and format that will help prevent rusting like that. I do believe that those posts have not been replaced in quite a long time. It may be decades, in fact. And Sunny may be able to speak to that as well.
Okay,
They're more than 30 years old.
okay,
And they were set in concrete. The new posts are going to be set in sleeves so that in a later date, if they need to be replaced, we don't have to take up the cord itself.
oh, good. Thank you, that sounds like a good plan.
Good questions, though.
Mhm.
Okay, if there are no other questions, Commissioners report on current events. Information. This is the time that the Commission may present a brief summary on current events. The Commission may not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take any legal action on the information presented pursuant to ARS 38-431.02. Does anybody have anything to present on? Any commissioners? Commissioner Brian Colbreth.
Sure. Yeah, I can just say, as Tricia mentioned, I did attend the fishing derby with my family, and that was a fun time. And I also enjoyed being able to pick a spot. It's could be a little intimidating for some people because I know it's usually very crowded, but I enjoyed that part of it, and it was nice. And so, yeah, nice job to Tricia and team. That was a great event.
Commissioner Sonny Colbreth.
I'm not a commissioner, but and
I'm sorry.
if anyone else has anything to say, but I'm sure all of you are aware of the loss of David Schwacke. A tremendous loss to our community. And I don't know of any large plans to celebrate his life at this time. I think the families are doing something just on a family basis. But I know we've been discussing at the recreation center some way, such as we did for Ralph Harris, our tennis professional for over 20 years, and memorializing somehow David's contributions to not only the recreation, but to our community. So I know you're all aware of that. There's been some great tributes in the newspaper already, and I think the Independent is coming out with a big article. But there was much to be said for David and his contributions, and a lot of it has been made known to people that didn't know him. So again, it's a huge loss, and but he made his mark for sure.
Vice Chairperson Andrea Phillips. Andy?
We had Litchfield Elementary School District Educational Foundation meeting at 4:30 today, and Shelley Hornback, who's their community liaison person, told us that Sunday at 2 p.m. outdoors at the lake, there is going to be some sort of something for David. So I can check with Shelley just to be sure. I mean, she just told us that this afternoon. So I can get more details on that and send it to Anthony but I'm sure it's gonna come out somewhere. And then for me personally, I just think of him and that orange tree that he finally got. And like every time I go by that orange tree, I just am like, hi, David. So yeah, I miss him. But I can find out more details on Sunday if you'd like.
Eh, Excuse me. Tricia, do you know more, having talked to Cindy, that she had indicated that she wanted to keep it small and for family, so I'm not certain about if they've opened it up or not.
Sunny, yeah, it was her city son that I spoke to, and the arrangements that were made were for family members. And what's been expressed to us in terms of reserving that space for Sunday is that it's a small group of about 20 people, and that it was not going to be open to large groups. They wanted to keep it sort of an intimate thing. They're especially sensitive to COVID. So I'm not sure what was passed along at that meeting, but that's the understanding that the city has in terms of the reservation that was made.
That's probably accurate, and probably that part of it was left out of what Shelley told us, was that that's the family. Thank you.
So just as a follow-up, and then Commissioner Fix, just as a follow-up, perhaps if we do hear something that's more public, certainly email it to me, and maybe I'll share it with Marissa, and she could do a calendar invite or something to that effect to the whole commission. Commissioner Fix?
So I realized what I was going to ask, probably this isn't the right place. But since we were speaking of the benches in the various parks, is that not something that we might think of doing a memorial bench for him by the orange tree by the lake? That could be a topic next month.
I think that's good.
The time, yeah, this is a time for information, and certainly it could be something to discuss next month.
Sounds good.
So the only thing that's left is to make a motion to adjourn. Not everybody at once.
I'd like to make a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I don't think we need to discuss it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Bye, everyone.
So let it be. So long, everyone. Stay
Thank
safe, stay
you.
healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody have a good night. Tune in to the State of the City Saturday.